Hi guys, it's Jennibellie. Welcome to a new series that I'm going to be doing regarding finishing your art journal pages. It's a theme that has been presented to me probably for a couple of years, maybe more, regarding knowing how to create a background and being easy with that, but then what to do then. What do you do when you've got to that point where you've created the background to turn it into a finished art journal page? So I thought what I would do is create this little series just demonstrating me doing exactly that on some journal pages that I've already started to different degrees of startedness. Some of them just a bit of paint on the background, others have other things going on the page already, and just then what I do to bring it into finishing it. And just note here that these aren't tutorials, but what I'm doing to show you is, the real point I want to get across through this series is a subtitle, I think I'm going to call it, which is the art of listening. That is all I'm doing while I'm finishing off these art journal pages, is listening to what I want to next do on the page and just following that impulse. I don't know what I'm going to do. I do not follow any art journaling plans or layouts or anything like that. I just go for whatever is coming into my head at that moment in time. And this is a big thing to do with intuition, and my raw intuitive journalers will know all about this. They've got a bit of insider knowledge, which is raw intuitive journaling is a class that I've done, and you guys have got the insider knowledge on it. So I want you to recognize what I'm doing as I'm doing it, you guys in the class, as a little bit of homework, so that if you ever begin to do it this way, if you begin to listen to yourself, you'll never be stuck for what to do on your art journal pages. As long as I say in a bonus video I've just done for the raw class, if you keep up the practice of doing it, not if you don't art journal for weeks and weeks and weeks, when you come back to it you might be a little bit crunchy, a little bit rusty, but if you keep up the practice, you won't be at a loss as to what to do, because you are bringing in both your intuitive knowledge, listening to yourself as to what you want to do. Next, on the page, I'm bringing in your creative self, which is all of the artsy knowledge that you've gathered over the years, all the tutorials that you've seen, all the classes that you've taken, all of the good knowledge that you've learned from teachers or just creating in your art journal, mixed in with this side of listening to yourself, creates not only a never-ending bunch of possibilities that you could create on your art journal page, but it also means that you create really unique artwork that is kind of just you, because you're mixing these things with this part of yourself that's your intuition that nobody else has. Everybody has their own intuition, but then nobody has your intuition. Okay, so I hope you enjoy and you pick up on that thing that I really want to emphasize through this series, is to begin to listen to yourself.
So what I'm starting off with this series is a junk journal page. As you can see, the background already has some paint, already has some patterns on it, a bit of interest, and I'm just going with shapes and colour. That's a great way to start, and that's often what we start with in the raw intuitive process, is just to see things in your mind's eye and just put them on the page. No idea what they're going to turn into, and shapes and colour is a really good place to start. So I saw blue and I saw circles, and I'm going to just follow my flow, listening once again, just following my flow to create patterns and things on these shapes, whether or not they stay here, whether or not they get covered up. And these junk journal pages, part of a larger sheet, which sometimes when I get large sheets of junk cardboard or paper, I just paint over the whole background and then cut it up into smaller pieces to use like this as backgrounds for different pieces of junk journaling, each of which are going to turn out to be completely unique probably, so they won't even look similar. but it's just a way to get a background down so that sometimes you can be in fear of the blank page and other times you can be in fear of what to do next once you've done a background. So that's what this series is tackling, is the fear of what to do next. And in each video I'm going to kind of address a slightly different thing, a different theme we're going to look at, such as adding words and bits and pieces like that, depending on what I do with that particular journal page. This one I just want to emphasize the art of listening to yourself, and if you want more info on that, obviously, then that's what the Raw Intuitive Journaling class is all about. Now, when I'm doing junk journaling using the raw process, I often use a lot of collage because obviously there's a lot of junk collage out there. This is some tissue paper I got out of a shoebox. You saw me cutting out a Harry Potter piece of cardboard from some packaging, and what I'm doing now is some Japanese text from Shakespeare's house when I visited a few years ago. So it's not technically recycling because I took things that I couldn't even read, but it just had some interest to it, and I've used those papers off and on for years and years and years. So any random scraps that you have, they have interest to them, so save them. So I saw hot pink in my mind to use to just have a contrast with this page. It's got muted colours and a pop of blue, and I just wanted hot pink. So I wanted to add it in a way that was a little bit subtler, so I decided to use some stamps so that it's not a full block of colour, there's space in between, but it adds an extra layer of interest to it. And as you can see, I completely cover up the majority of the pink stamps, but I don't know as I'm creating what's going to happen next, so I just stay in that moment in time as to what I'm doing. I don't think about the future, which is why I cut out the Harry Potter image when I'm actually going to use that rabbit instead. I don't often spend time making those decisions. I usually just go for the first thing that I pull out when doing this process, but for whatever reason the rabbit was calling to me more particularly, and it will make clear in the future why that is to myself, but at this moment in time I don't know why. I'll highlight why it became clear when we get to that part of the page. But what happens when you go through the raw intuitive process a lot of the time is that a cleverer part of you takes over and makes connections, and through the process of trusting my intuition, I've learned that happens a lot. When you relinquish the wheel a little bit, the higher, wiser part of yourself manages to highlight things to you that you might not have understood had you just always tried to think through everything. And journaling itself is a great vehicle for this. Anybody that's a written journaler may know this. You make things clearer to yourself on another level just through the process of listening to your intuitive self rather than just the mental chatter all of the time. What I've just added is one of my collage sheets out of my Etsy shop, and I'm just going to do one of my favourite fallback tricks for adding interest to a page. It's kind of a signature move now. If you're a member of Journal Workshops, you'll see me doing it plenty, is adding some paint to the edge in quite a thick layer with my finger. I love doing it. And here is the reason why my intuition added the rabbit without me knowing why I was doing it. And it's these three little words here, the hare and the tortoise, the fable that has been kind of playing in my mind a little bit lately, and I've even made some other things regarding this to remind myself to be a little bit more like the tortoise. And it's funny how little reminders that are important to you in that moment in time can pop up when you hand over a little bit to your subconscious, I suppose is what we're doing here, when you relax and follow your instincts. I think it will always show you things that are important because you are you, and whatever is happening in your subconscious, in your conscious at that moment in time, it is inevitable, it's going to crack through. So that is my first finished art journal page in this series, from taking pages from background to finished projects. You're listening to yourself more than anything else, and if you want more info on that, head over to Journal Workshops in the Raw Intuitive Journaling Process class, but also this kind of seeps through into other things that I do as well. It's a really powerful tool to just listen to yourself any moment in time We don't do it enough in our daily lives, and art journaling is really, if you're doing it anyway, is a place where you should really get in on giving yourself some self-care, some self-love, and allowing your intuition to come through and tell you whatever it is that's important to you right now, whatever it is that you need right now, and getting that valuable information so that you can use it in your life. Much love, everybody. Have an awesome day.